If someone reached into your pocket and stole a $100 bill, you would notice immediately. You would panic. You would retrace your steps. You would call the police. But what if someone reached into your bank account and stole a fraction of a single penny? Specifically, 0.004 cents. You wouldn't notice, and your bank wouldn't notice. The IRS wouldn't notice. It is a mathematical ghost, an amount so small, the human brain is trained to ignore it. But if you steal that microscopic fraction from 100,000 people every single day for 5 years, you don't just have a ghost, you have a multi-million-dollar empire. In the world of cybersecurity, the greatest threats rarely come from masked syndicates. The most devastating attacks come from the inside. They come from the people holding the keys. We will call him the architect. He was a senior back-end developer at one of the largest payroll processing firms in North America, a company responsible for cutting the paychecks of over 2 million corporate employees every 2 weeks. He wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was quiet. He drove a 10-year-old sedan. He drank the terrible office coffee. He was entirely forgettable. And because he was forgettable, no one questioned what he was building when everyone else went home. In the financial world, when calculating hourly wages and taxes, the math rarely ends in a perfectly clean number. A paycheck might calculate out to exactly $3,400 and 52.3 cents. Standard accounting software uses a function called rounding. It drops that leftover 0.3 cents into a digital void, balancing the books to a clean 2 decimal places. The architect didn't break the system. He simply redirected the void. He inserted 3 lines of code into the central payroll algorithm. The code told the system to take every fraction of a cent that was supposed to be discarded and route it to an encrypted offshore account. The salami slice, shaving off a layer so thin the meat looks entirely untouched. Every Friday, across 2 million paychecks, the code executed. Pennies became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. Thousands became millions. And the corporate ledgers balanced perfectly, every single time. The hardest part of a perfect crime is surviving the success. The architect had siphoned over $4 million, but he couldn't spend it, not visibly. To his co-workers, he was still the quiet guy in the 10-year-old sedan. To the IRS, he was a middle-class developer. He was a king forced to live as a peasant. Psychologists call it the fraudster's paradox. The money ceases to be a tool for freedom and becomes a radioactive weight. Every system update, every routine server maintenance, every new hire in the accounting department was a potential disaster. He was living on a bomb, waiting for a spark. The spark didn't come from a cybersecurity audit, it came from human greed. In year 5 of the heist, the CEO of the payroll processing company was awarded a massive, record-breaking performance bonus: $18 million. Because of the unprecedented size of the payout, it wasn't processed through the standard automated batch. It was run through a manual, localized accounting reconciliation by a senior partner. The human eye is different from an algorithm. The senior partner ran the math on a separate, offline system. The offline math and the system math were off. Not by millions, by 14 cents. 14 cents on an $18 million payout. To a machine, it's a rounding error. To a forensic accountant, it is a bleeding wound. They pulled the thread, and the entire digital tapestry unraveled. There were no sirens, no flashing lights. Cyber crimes end in total silence. Federal agents walked into the server room on a Tuesday morning. They unplugged the mainframe. They walked to his cubicle. They put a hand on his shoulder. The architect was sentenced to 70 months in federal prison. The company quietly patched the code, desperate to avoid a public relations nightmare. But the code is out there. The salami slice is the perfect invisible crime. And as you watch this, somewhere in the world, on a server humming in the dark, someone is stealing your fractions.